Hi Campbell, thanks for joining me today and train me to talk about rugby league and training. Campbell, you've played 131 first grade games for the Rabbitohs. You made your debut in 2017, round 22, at the famous SCG against the Dragons. 17 years old, what a great occasion. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, it all happened pretty quick, to be honest. I was meant to play an under-20s game that night, and I'd done a little bit of training with the first grade team in the previous weeks, but never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd probably be playing first grade that soon. And I got the call on the day from Michael Maguire, the coach at the time, saying that I was going to be making my debut that night. So looking back on it, it's probably the best way to find out. And I didn't have too much time to think about it. Just told the parents, told my mates, and got myself down in the stadium. And I just played footy, and we were lucky enough to get the win.
Did you have any butterflies?
Yeah, there was plenty of butterflies. It did help that at the time we had blokes like Sam Burgess, Greg Inglis, and John Sutton in the team. So
not a bad side.
No, not at all. So I remember before I ran out, Sam Burgess said that everyone in the team believed in me, and they were confident in myself. So it was a great occasion.
Great role model. Yeah, very exciting. And did you get treated differently at school from then on?
Yeah, my mates, still gave me slack from time to time, but a few teachers, a few South fans were, I think a bit lenient with me in the back end of school, so yeah, it was good.
And round 22, you're in the middle of the HSC. Was it much of a distraction for you?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a distraction. Obviously, once I sort of got to that point, I was fully focused on, playing, the best footy I could, and it was, I suppose, pretty tough to juggle both. The school were very good about it. I was at Marsland College Randwick at the time, and they were very lenient with, allowing me to attend training or any sort of club commitments. So, they made it as easy as possible, and yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah, good school, Marcellin. Nearly as good as Pagewood or whatever they're called these days. They change their name every other week. 2021, you represented your country in the Rugby League World Cup. You won the Rugby League World Cup.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that experience.
Overall, probably the highlight of my career, and probably the highlight of my life so far. That tour in the UK, just going over there, obviously to represent Australia, your country. It's something that I'd always dreamed of, and it was something that was a goal of mine. For it to happen, I suppose, so quickly, I wasn't really expecting that. But overall, it was such a valuable learning curve for me, and I think it definitely made me a better footballer going over there, and seeing how the elite boys in the game prep for games and to play alongside them was huge for myself, and a great experience, and one I'll definitely remember forever.
Yeah, that's exciting times. And you're yet to play for the New South Wales Blues, but we've just heard today that your old coach, Madge, who you made your debut with, he's been nominated the coach. Do you think you might be a chance of playing this year?
Yeah, hopefully. I'm going to, obviously try to put my best foot forward and let my footy do the talking, but it is a goal of mine to play in the Origin arena. I think it is for, all the boys that are eligible to represent their state. So, it's no different for me, and I think Madge will be, a great option as a Blues coach. He brings that intensity that you need in the Origin arena, and I'm excited for him, but also for the possibility of playing for him in a Blues jersey.
Yeah, you've got a couple of nicknames too, of course. Stretch.
Yeah.
You go by Stretch. Reg, I believe Reg is another one. That's another one.
Yeah.
And I think one that most people are familiar with, the serial killer. Tell us a bit about that one. What's the background there?
Yeah, serial killer. I got stitched up a couple of times on Fletch and Hindy. That was about 3 years ago now, and it still hasn't left me. So it's definitely stuck. But it's a good laugh every now and then. I get a few weird looks when I'm out in public, but. Yeah, it's all right.
So Campbell, with the State of Origin, you had a couple of injuries that prevented you from probably representing when you could have in years when you were doing well. How did that sort of pan out?
Yeah, so last year I was, in 2021 I did sort of my first Origin experience. I was 19th man for 2 of the games, and that was a great learning experience for myself. That was a very strong Blues side that, we dusted up Queensland twice up there and came away with a win. So to be a part of that was special. And then, last year, I was picked as 18th man for game 1, but unfortunately I had to withdraw due to a sternum injury that I'd been battling with for a number of weeks. So that was disappointing. It was very hard at the time, but I think it's probably just lit a fire under my belly a bit more to to chase that even harder this year.
Yep. Well, look, it's a good segue from injuries, and touch wood, you don't have any going forward. But just some quick NRL player stats. So 36% of players have played fewer than 10 first grade games. It's an incredible stat. 57% have played less than 30 top grade games, and a staggering 82% played less than 100 games. The average first grade career spans only 49 games, which is literally 2 years in the modern game. So when you think about those stats, how does that resonate with you?
Well, for starters, I suppose I feel a bit of gratitude that I'm in the position that I'm in, and I've had the opportunities that I've had to this point. It really sort of drives home, how fortunate we are in this position, and probably drives home that, this isn't, a solid, I suppose, career for a long period of time. Even, the boys who are fortunate enough to have a long-lasting career in this game, it only spans about 15 years. And, then you do need another option after footy. So I suppose it's definitely important as a footballer to have your options open, and, have a plan B in place, for when, your career comes to an end. And, as the stats say, that can, come along pretty quickly for most boys. So, it's definitely something to give thought about as a player.
Yeah, good point. Campbell, 131 games representing your country. You've almost played for the Blues. It would be fair to say that you've definitely at the elite level in rugby league, but that hasn't come just through natural talent. There's been a lot of hard work and training. How many pre-seasons have you done?
Yeah, so this is my ninth pre-season. We're about halfway through, and they don't get easier. So, it's pretty grueling. This time of year, it's all about getting your body as physically prepared as possible for a long season ahead. A lot of running, a lot of weights, a lot of wrestling. So, it's not all pretty, but it's just a part of the gig, and it's essential to being the best footballer that you can be. So
But the more you put in, the more you get out.
Absolutely. I feel like with the more pre-seasons that you do and the experience that you get from it, you're able to, I suppose, get more out of each pre-season and fine-tune little skills or little areas physically that you want to improve. And there's always areas that you can look to improve on as a professional athlete, and I think that goes for people in all sorts of professions. So it's definitely important not to get complacent with each year, and make the most of it. So
When you're at school, Stretch, did you ever think that you might have another career other than rugby league?
Obviously, I had my options open. I wasn't sure that rugby league was going to, pan out for me. And, although it was always my dream and I'd always hoped that it would, I did sort of have the mindset that I'd probably get a trade of some sort and, sort of look into that line of work. Couldn't really see myself sitting at an office desk or going to uni. So, I was definitely eyeing off that trade route, which is something that still sort of entices me, after footy. So
Yeah, well, you're never too young. So in 2027, you've signed till 2027 with the Rabbitohs. You will be 27 in 2027. I've got that right, I hope, the math. Have you given much thought to life, a career after your rugby league?
It is something that I give a lot of thought to. This question still sort of, lingers over me a little bit in terms of, narrowing my focus into what kind of career, what kind of profession, I want to do after footy. And I suppose the good thing about being in the position that I'm in at the moment at this club is, you know, they provide us with many opportunities to test out a few options and I suppose dip your toe in a few different areas and find out what is suited to you. It's a very fortunate position to be in to be able to do that.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
You know, it's important that myself and the boys here, you know, take advantage of that. And yeah, that there's, you know, boys constantly downstairs, you know, learning a barber, and I wouldn't trust them, but yeah, there's all sorts of, you know, boys learning how to, you know, DJ and all that kind of thing. So it's you know, as I said, a very fortunate position to be in where you can, I suppose, get an education or do some training, you know, while also, you know, being able to play a sport as your job. So yeah.
It's fantastic. So each NRL club has a qualified career coach,
Yep.
and this is part of the NRL's CareerWise program.
Yep.
I believe they fund that actual coach.
Yep.
Have you had any experience with the CareerWise program?
I have, yeah. I haven't actually gone into any courses, but you know, I've gone and spoke to a few different small businesses about how they, you know, operate. I went and spoke to our fruit supplier. They're a small little shop in Balmainway, and they're killing it. So it was really cool to see that perspective and just get a few ideas about, you know, small business. A couple of years ago, I did a course called Elite Athlete Business School, run by Jason Nightingale, the old Dragons player, and you know, I got a lot out of that too. It was fun, and it wasn't too intense, but you know, it's a good starting spot to sort of get an understanding of you know, how small businesses work. So yeah, it was cool.
That's brilliant. And tell me, do you think NRL players should have a plan B in case playing in the NRL doesn't pan out?
I think it's almost essential. You know, obviously, as I said, the lucky ones, you know, get 15 years in this game, and you know, if they invest their money well, then you know, then it's probably still not enough to last you for a lifetime. That's just the reality of it, and you know, boys are constantly going to need to look at other options after footy. So I think it's definitely something that every player should keep in mind.
I think you've got a very good mindset, Campbell, about it. Tell me, what would Campbell Graham say to a young 15-year-old Campbell Graham today?
That's a good question. I would probably look at starting my education even earlier. You know, I'm grateful that I'm still only 24 and I've got some time, but you know, even still now looking back, I think, you know, if I'd started you know, education or some sort of training, you know, when I was starting first grade, I'd have 6 years of experience by now. So you know, that is something that I'd probably tell my younger self.
Good advice. Well, thank you, Campbell, for spending time with Train Me today, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.